Have any of you guys ever had to scald and scrape a huge pig and have no idea how to get started? Stick around, because you're about to find out. Hey guys and gals, welcome back to the channel. You are watching Toops Time and I'm Cody. Today we're at the in-laws house and they are raising pigs for meat here on their property. One of their female pigs is now too old to reproduce anymore. So what do we do on a homestead whenever something doesn't produce for you? Well, you've got to put them down. It's never easy putting the females down because you have seen them give litter after litter of awesome pigs that you've raised for meat on your property, but sometimes it just has to happen. The pigs you're seeing right here in this video is the last litter that she gave birth to. So the legacy that she left is one last good set of pigs that are going to make some fine meat, and also a female that's going to be bred for future litters here on their homestead. So before you guys say anything, I know this pig is really freaking big, but this pig is one that my father-in-law actually raised, and it is just her time to go. She's not producing anymore, so we're gonna go ahead and scald and scrape her so we can get some cracklings out of her. Then we're gonna quarter her up and bring her to the processing plant and let them take care of the rest. So I've actually personally never done this before, but this man here has. I'm gonna kind of let him explain exactly what it is that we're about to do here.
Well, we got us a good sized hog. You can't do a whole lot with them. The meat's tough. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna scald her and scrape her. And then we'll field dress her and we will remove the skin to make cracklings out of. Now there's a lot more skin there than most people want to fool with, but you can always clean it, freeze some of it, and come back later and make more cracklings. And then we'll split her in quarters and take her to the processing plant. This whole hog will be made into sausage. She'll be ground and it will be very good.
So whenever I showed up to the property, he actually already had her hanging. So what exactly was it that you did to get her to this point here?
Well, she had to be put down. She went down quickly, as humane as possible. And then I bled her. I put the spreader bars in her tendons to pick her up, raised her up, and she's been bleeding out ever since.
And right now, while she's over here bleeding out, we've actually got some water boiling. Let's go ahead and show them the setup that we're working with. So I probably won't do a whole lot of talking right here around the system because we currently have the propane running and it's really loud because we're trying to heat up this water. But let's show you what we're working with. As you can see there, the temperature is about 120 degrees, so we still got about 20 to 27 or so more to go.
20 to 30 degrees.
20 or 30 more to go.
It's going to drop. When you put her in there, we'll only be able to dip about half over at a time. That temperature is going to drop, so we're going to go up closer to the 160 mark to start with, and we can judge how long to keep her in there by when her hair starts releasing. So that's how we'll judge how long it's up there.
So what's this right here?
Well, gotta have a place to scrape her. She's so big. We're gonna put her on this. We'll scrape her and be able to wash her down and keep it very clean while we do it.
And all the excess hair and water will just go right through. That's a good idea. I've seen people do it on plywood. It just looks more messy. This is a good idea.
Once we finish scraping her, we will skin her on this rack right here, and we'll be able to roll her over and work the skin off of her before we field dress her while her skin's tight.
So many of you guys that have actually watched a lot of our videos, you'll know that I make use of pretty much everything on my property, and it's not always the intended use of it. And this is the man that I learned how to do that kind of thing from. And What you're actually looking at here is actually a fence panel that was off of a really nice fence that was supposed to go up that never went up, and he's built all sorts of stuff out of this because he is a welder as well. And then that over there is actually a parts cleaning tank from an old plant that he used to work at. How many years later now?
30 years.
Now we're going to be using it as a dipping tank for a huge pig. She's been hanging out here bleeding for quite a little while now, and he's just wanting to do a little bit extra cleaning, so we're going to pressure wash her off again. One thing to note whenever pressure washing is you just want to make sure you don't get super close to the pig whenever you're doing it. That's to not bring the blood up to the surface of the skin here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pre-install this hook right here so that whenever it's time to flip her over and handle her and move her around, we already have a hook in her to make it a lot easier on us.
Here we go. All right, now we can grab that chain. I'm gonna let it down, Cody. I just want you to run that chain through here.
Okay. Tell you what, after bringing her over there, that tank don't look so big anymore. Basically what you're doing when you're boiling her is loosening the superficial layer of skin that's got all the hair follicles in it. So that's essentially what you're scraping off.
Yeah, see, this is an example of the temperature difference. Had we let her down in the tank, the water was hotter down here closer to the bottom. Up here, her hair is not turning loose, you know, because it wasn't in that much of the water.
So what was the temperature we ended up going
Temperature on
with?
the top was right at 150. Temperature towards the bottom was probably 155 to 160.
Okay.
And it's peeling off nice and easy down there because they turn loose. But if you get her too hot, then the skin will turn to gum.
And this here wasn't because of the water. This was whenever we pressure washed her, pretty much.
Yeah, probably so.
Probably just got a little too close right here, and that's what I was
brought
talking
the
about
blood
right
up to the skin.
This is kind of what you want it to look like right here. So being this pig is so big, we decided to change the method that we used and go ahead with the towel and hot water method. What we're going to end up doing here is using this burlap sack, and we're going to actually increase the water temperature even more, being we're pouring it on her rather than dunking her, because the water will be cooling off as you're pouring it. Then we're going to just basically pull the towel off, or burlap sack in this case, and scrape her right on top of the table. I think it's going to work a whole lot better than dunking her, because we can only dunk her like an eighth at a time versus this burlap cloth covers her entire side. right, so as you can see, we just flipped this girl over. Something else I wanted to point out that I don't think we mentioned earlier, what we found is that with this pour-on method, instead of that 140 to 150 degrees, you really want that water to be almost at boiling point, and that way, whenever it hits her, the heat doesn't dissipate too quickly. Well, it's long, time-consuming, and laborious, but we did just now finish scraping her. And now what we're about to do, I just washed her off a little bit more, and Jerry has got a little torch and it's basically running around and getting some little hairs that we might have not been able to get off and just searing them, and then we're gonna skin her. Got her all skinned, about to gut her, and then quarter her up, and then be able to get back to the skin so we can make us some cracklings. Well, as we stated earlier, that is a huge pig, and time got away from us. We were busting our tail, but we are not gonna have time to fry up any cracklings tonight. So I have to head back to the house and take care of some business with our milk cows, get them put up for the night. And I may possibly be meeting him at the processor to drop off this meat tonight, depending on if they'll take it this late. Other than that, I think we're gonna be doing the cracklings possibly tomorrow. Well, this is actually 2 days later for me. As you can see here, they got started making cracklings the day following when we actually butchered the pig. 2 days later, I'm finally making my way out here. He has a lot of cracklings to make, so we're about to watch him make some more. I'm munching on one of these right now, and that's actually amazing. Making these cracklings is a 3-phase process. I'm gonna let Jerry explain this for you. Talk, Jerry, talk.
Oh, you
His mouth's full.
tasting my cracklings. Okay.
All right, so what's the first phase? You said something about fat, right?
First phase, you have the skin and the fat that you just finished with. And when you slice your skin up, you want to slice it about anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches wide. It'll look like a slab of bacon with skin on it. You lay it over, and you may have some meat layers in there, but you're gonna have some good fat. This hog had 2 inches of fat with meat mixed in it. I took and cut the fat out of it. And the fat, you use it to render your lard. This is some of the strips of fat that was cut out off of the skin. You take your black iron pot, you put a little bit of water in it so that your fat don't start sticking and burning when you put it in. And you start heating it up, then you put your fat in. And you can put, about half of a 1 gallon bag or even a 1 gallon bag, depending on how many cracklings. It'll give you anywhere from a half gallon to a gallon of oil. You render that down about 200, 220 degrees. You cook that fat slow, and it'll boil the water out of the pot that you put in there, and it will allow the fat to start extracting the oils out of the tissue. Once it's fried up, it'll look just like a piece of fried fish or something. It'll float. All the moisture will be out of it. You see how the pot is steaming right now? That's moisture coming out of those that we got in the pot. Well, that fat will do the same thing. Once it gets to where it's not steaming, you've got all the oil out of the fat tissue. You scoop them out.
And phase number 2.
So now you've got your oil. You got it up around 200, 220 degrees. And you can take your skins that you sliced and cut up. These are your cracklings. See, there's meat and fat on there. In your hot oil, you start putting those in, put them all in and stir them and keep them loose. And this is what they look like. These have been in about 30 minutes. And they're cooking down right now. Right now it's cooking the fat out of the tissues. And they'll cook Oh, they'll cook till this steam starts coming off. Temperature is between 200 and 230 degrees on these.
Okay.
And there's a lot of fat on them. That's why I'm cooking them kind of hot.
So is there a time that you cook them for, or is it cook them until what?
You cook them until the steam stops coming off.
Okay.
They'll start floating and all the moisture will be out of them. They'll change colors. They'll look like these whenever they get done, and they'll start floating around in there. Now the last phase, you go ahead when they all look good and you feel like they're done enough, just scoop them out, put them in a tray or something. And I brought my oil that was in the pot up to 400 degrees. And then I took these, which were cooling off. I had them spread out. You let them cool down best you can. The cooler you get them, the better. And I put them in that 400 degree oil for a second pop. That second pop bubbles the skin out and makes it where it's almost like a pig skin, not a crackling. It's tender and it's crunchy. It's a crackling with a softer, crunchier skin.
Oh man.
See all the white? That's the second pop, I call it.
Well, that'll be it for today's video, you guys. I hope it was informative. I hope it was interesting. And if you have a huge pig like that one that we just got done taking care of, then I hope this helps you guys figure out a good way to scald and scrape the skin and get it to where you can make this awesome snack right here.
Oh, the cracklings they're unbeatable. They're good.
Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless y'all. We'll see you on the next one.